Imagine this. You wake up not in 2026, but in ancient Rome. Before the day's over, someone has already convinced you yesterday's argument was your fault. They praise you, only to embarrass you in front of everyone moments later. They flirt with someone just enough to make you jealous. Then they laugh and tell you you're imagining things. By sunset, you're apologizing for something they did. Sound familiar? Here's the unsettling part. This isn't a modern relationship. It's nearly 2,000 years ago, long before psychology, long before therapists, long before anyone had a word like narcissism. People were already writing about the exact same personality. Different clothes, different language, same manipulation, which raises the strange question. How can people separated by continents, centuries, and entire civilizations all behave in almost exactly the same way? The answer might completely change how you think about narcissistic abuse. Chapter 1. The pattern. Every civilization has been different. Different gods, different government, different customs, different ways of falling in love. But when historians describe certain people, something strange happens. The personalities begin to blur together. Ancient Rome, Imperial Rome, medieval Europe, Victorian England, modern America, over and over, the same descriptions appear. Someone obsessed with admiration, someone who can't accept criticism, someone who charms strangers while slowly destroying the people closest to them. It almost feels impossible. How could people never meet, discover the same exact tactics? Was manipulation invented, or was it simply discovered? Love bombing before it had a name. The overwhelming attention, the constant compliments, the feelings that you've finally met your soulmate. Psychologists gave it a name only recently, but history describes it centuries ago. Roman poets warned about lovers whose affection burned too brightly, too quickly. Ancient philosophers cautioned against people who overwhelmed others with praise, only to withdraw it later. The words were different, but the pattern was identical. First, they make you feel chosen, special, unlike anyone they've ever met. Because once someone believes they've found extraordinary love, they tolerate extraordinary pain to keep it. The tactic hasn't changed, only the vocabulary has. Chapter 3. Then comes something survivors know all too well: isolation. They don't really care about you. Your family doesn't understand us. They're jealous. They're trying to ruin what we have. History records this too. Not as psychology, but as control. Throughout history, controlling partners separated spouses from relatives, trusted friends, and community, because isolation has one predictable effect. When someone loses every other voice, only one voice remains: the manipulators. Rewrite Chapter 4. Gaslighting before the words existed. Gaslighting is a modern word. The behavior is ancient. Imagine someone denying conversations that happened yesterday, insisting promises were never made, convincing you your memory can't be trusted. History is filled with letters, journals, and writings described people who distorted reality, not by force, but by confidence. Because confidence is persuasive, even when it's wrong. Eventually, the victim stops asking, "What happened?" and starts asking, "What's wrong with me?" That's the real goal. Not winning an argument, replacing your judgment with theirs. Chapter 5. Why do they all follow the same script? Here's the question that fascinates me. Why do narcissists from different countries, different cultures, different generations all seem to arrive at the exact same behaviors? Did they all read the same manual? Of course not. Modern psychology doesn't believe narcissists consciously copy each other. Researchers point to a combination of genetics, early childhood experiences, attachment wounds, temperament, brain development, and learned behavior. There isn't one cause. There is an unmistakable destination. Control, validation, admiration, power keep leading to the same place. Not because narcissists are identical, but because the strategies consistently produce the same result. Chapter 6. The Ancient Survival Theory. Now here's an idea worth thinking about. Imagine living thousands of years ago. status meant survival. The people with the most influence often had better access to food, protection, resources, allies. If manipulation increased status, even temporarily, it could also increase survival. That doesn't make manipulation healthy. It doesn't make it moral, but it may help explain why certain behaviors continue appearing throughout history. Not because they're good, because they can be effective in the short term. Psychology doesn't excuse these behaviors, but understanding where they may come from helps explain why the pattern repeats generation after generation. Maybe that's the most unsettling realization of all. The narcissist wasn't unique. They weren't a criminal mastermind. They weren't inventing new ways to hurt you. They were following a pattern that humanity has quietly documented for thousands of years. And here's why that matters. When you're inside the relationship, everything feels personal. You think, if I were smarter, if I loved them better, if I had just said the right thing, maybe things would have been different. But history suggests otherwise. The pattern exists long before you. The good news? Patterns can be recognized. And once you recognize the patterns, you stop chasing explanations that were never yours to solve. Because healing doesn't begin when the narcissist finally understands what they did. Healing begins the moment you realize you were never the first person to experience this story, and you don't have to be the one who repeats it.